I know it's very hot today, so you could even have been at home in the AC, but you chose to come here, so I appreciate that. Like I said, my name is Nabil Habib, and I want to say that I begin in the name of Allah, the Most Kind, the Most Merciful. May His peace and blessings go to Prophet Adam, to Prophet Noah, to Prophet Moses, to Prophet Jesus, to Prophet Muhammad, and all the prophets and all their noble companions. And I declare that my intention for this lecture is that I want to do it for the love of Allah. And any good that I say today is from Allah, and any thing I say in error or misjudgment, I ask Allah for His forgiveness. As you can see, today's topic I chose was charity. And you might be wondering why charity, because I know a couple of weeks ago my brother, he touched upon a little bit about charity. And the reason I chose charity as a topic is Ramadan, the month of Ramadan is actually less than 60 days away. In case no one knows, it is. It's like 54 days, so it's like start training yourself. And so I'm sure many of you in this class have taken exams. Has anyone taken a test for school before? Or done any competitive stuff? Any brave hands want to raise? Okay, Adam, when you had a test, did you study for it in advance, or did you cram before the test?
Study for it.
In advance, right? I mean, that's how we're told to do. And the reason we're told to do that for tests are because it'll get you prepared for the test. So when the test comes, you can do the test and you can pass the test. Correct. Now, when you have charity, when you start doing the good deeds before the month of Ramadan, then when the month of Ramadan approaches and you're in the month of Ramadan, it's easier for you, it's more natural for you to do the good deeds. Which is why I chose the topic of charity today, because charity is a way to purify us of our sins. So when we do charity in the month of Ramadan, inshallah, it'll be easier and we'll be able to purify ourselves even more. Okay, so let's get started with the handout then. Mummy, could you please read verse 261, please?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The parable of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is that of a grain that sprouts into 7 ears, each bearing 100 grains. Allah gives manifold increase to whom He wishes. Allah has boundless knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Mummy. So does anyone here do any gardening or anything? Or no one does gardening? No one. Okay, well, I'll tell you, I don't have a green thumb, so I can't grow anything. And the beautiful thing is that in this verse, Allah is saying that the reason Allah uses a plant, a seed description to elaborate or to illustrate what charity is because when a farmer puts a seed into the ground, they expect not just one leaf to come from a seed, right? They expect a whole stalk with hundreds of leaves and potentially tens of hundreds of fruits or grains or vegetables to come. So Allah is using this to illustrate that when you do one good charity act, it has the potential to grow into how many countless blessings. So that's the reason that Allah has said, use the example of the seed with this. Daddy, could you please read the next 2 verses, 262 and 263, please?
Those who spend their money in the cause of Allah, and do not follow their charity with insult or harm, will receive their recompense from their Lord. They have nothing to fear, nor will they grieve. 263. Kind words and compassion are better than a charity that is followed by himself. Allah is self-sufficient, forbearing.
Thank you. There's one thing that whenever we do something, regardless if it's charity or we might do a prayer or we might do a fast or whatever, is we, as our parents have instilled in us, is that we are not doing it. Allah does not necessarily need us to do those deeds, to do the fasting, to do the charity, to do the prayer. Example I can tell you is when we went for Umrah. There were over, I don't know, our taxi driver said there were 700,000 people who were doing Umrah in Makkah at the time. I don't know if he was right, if he was wrong, but there was a lot of people. And so when you do go to Makkah, when you go to Medina, you realize you're just a small fish in the pond. Allah does not need your prayer. Allah does not need your charity. Allah does not need your fast. You need Allah. So when we are doing these charitable acts, when we're doing these prayers, when we're doing these fasting, regardless of what it is, we're doing it because we want to show Allah that, yes, we do submit to you. Yes, we do need you. Yes, you are our Rabb. Yes, you are our sustainer. We need you. Also, there's a tradition of the Prophet that says that on the day of resurrection, that Allah will neither speak, nor will He even look at an individual who made a point in this life to reference that he or she did something for someone. An example is maybe a husband does something for a wife, and he keeps reminding her, hey, 5 years ago I did this for you, 10 years ago I did this for you. When you keep doing it, the reason is because you keep bringing it up. You keep reminding someone, hey, look how good I am. I had to do this for you. You could not have done this for you. So when you keep doing this, it builds your ego. And when someone's ego gets built up, they're not willing to submit to something. Or willing to, in this case, willing to submit to Allah. Which is why it is important when we do a good thing, when we do a good charity, when we say a kind thing. Because how many people in this life go by unnoticed? Like maybe, how many times do you really, I'll give you an example. There was a movie we watched. I'm a big movie guy. And so some of my references would come from movies. It was Spider-Man. I'm not promoting that movie, but there's a really good thing in it. One of the main villains in that movie, in his life he was never noticed. No one said hello. No one said a kind word to him. No one acknowledged his importance. No one even called him by his name. They would call, hey, you electrical engineer, come here. When someone says a kind word, when someone says, hey, I'll use my brother's example. If you say someone, hey Bob, I just want to say you're an awesome guy, just keep doing what you're doing. Or something like, I'll give you an example when, I'm just going to use this as an example. We were at a pizza place. I picked up some pizza. All I gave the girl behind the cashier was $2 tip. That's it. Nothing big, nothing grand. That made her day. You have no clue how big of a smile she had. How when she went to the bag, she had this one step like, I got noticed. That's why whenever we do these small acts, we don't have to brag about it. We just know that, hey, we made someone's day. That's all that matters. And because whenever we do something good, Allah will always come back to us and say, you did something good, I'll do something good for you. You don't have to rely on a specific individual in this world to do something good for you. Because everything good will always come from Allah. Okay, so 264. Could I have, James, could you read 264, please?
O you who believe, do not make your charity worthless by reminders of your generosity or by injury. Like those who spend their substance to be seen of men, but believe neither in Allah nor in the last day. Their parable like a hard, barren rock, on which is in a little soil. One it falls heavy rain, which leaves it just a bare stone. Such people do not gain their reward they imagine they have earned by their seeming charity. Allah does not show the right way to the unbelievers.
Thank you, James. So as we can see in this verse, Allah is talking about a hypocrite who does not believe in Allah or who does not believe in the Day of Judgment. So all his charitable acts are being based on something. Because everything we do in life is going to be based on something. For us who are Muslims and who are Mu'min, we know that we're going to do a good thing because why? Because it's going to come back to us. On the Day of Judgment, we're going to get, critiqued, if you will. Okay, was it a good, was it a bad thing? So if someone doesn't believe in Allah, believe in the Day of Judgment, they have to have some sort of basis on what they're doing their stuff for. In this case, it's a show-off, is what it's referring to. It's someone who's showing off. So if you're showing off, you're not doing it for the love of Allah. So Allah doesn't need your charitable act. So what He's going to do is He's going to send it right back to you and say, you did this, send it right back to you. I don't need this. And so in this example, I'm sure as many of you people have picked up, the parable is that the rain is the charitable act, and the hard, barren rock is the evil intention, which is the basis of the hypocrite. And so it's saying that whenever the rain falls or the charitable act is done, it does not affect the evil intention, unless the intention is pure. Because I also, doing the research, I found this flip example of it, if you will, is where there's someone with a good intention, and the rain falls, it becomes a lush garden. So that's the opposite of this, and that's why it is important to know to have the right intention when we're doing any charitable act of any kind. Adam, could you read 271, please?
If you give charity in public, it is worthwhile, for it will persuade others, But if you hide and deliver it to the poor in secret, that is far better for you. And Allah will remove from you some of your sins due to this charity. And Allah is aware of all that you do.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, so in this, as you can see, the first half of the verse is saying that when we do it at charitable act in public, even though we're doing it for the love of Allah, it maybe could persuade someone else to say, you know, hey, I'll do this. I'll give you an example. I love my parents and I always brag about them. Years ago, we were at an Eid prayer, and I don't remember who the president was at ISGH at the time, but they came and said they were going to build a masjid or something, and they needed X amount of dollars. And so they said, hey, will any brother or sister like to donate $10,000? I don't think a hand went up. Then they said, anyone want to do $1,000? A couple of hands went up, and my dad was one of those hands. And then after, those first two hands went up, then more people's hands went up. So this is a way that when you're doing something, you're doing it right, it can help motivate someone else to go like, hey, maybe if that brother or that sister can do it, maybe I can do it too, maybe I can help out in some way too. So this is a way when you're doing it in public and you're getting recognized, if you will, for it, it's all right because your intention is right. But also, the second half of the verse is saying, but if you hide it and you do it in secret, it's better for you. Why is it better for you if it's in secret? And the reason is because that when you're doing it in secret, you don't have any room to say, like, hey, if it's two guys, go, hey man, look what I did. Because there is no hey man or hey lady or hey brother or hey sister to show what you did. So in this way, there's no way for you to build your ego in front of others. And once coming back to it, when your ego is too big, you're not willing to submit. You're not willing to be humble. You're not willing to listen to others who are more knowledgeable than you. And so this is why when it's done in secret, it is better for you. And when you are able to do it in secret, Allah will remove some of your sins. Like I said, charity is a way to purify yourself. But also one thing before we move on is, let's say you do it in secret. Let's say Mr. Gerald, he does something in secret, and Miss Hani finds out. Miss Hani finds out, and she's really proud of her husband that, my husband gave $10,000 to a masjid or something, or orphanage or something like that. Miss Hani might say, she might tell to her friends, I'm so excited my husband did something. And that's all right, because your intention wasn't necessarily to brag, but a loved one of yours, a friend of yours found out and just is like, excited for you. That's all right, because that's just a way of Allah letting you know that your intention was good, it was accepted by Him. So let's go to the last verse, as time flies by very fast when you talk. Could you read 63 times, please, the last verse?
Spend in charity out of the substances that we have bestowed on you before that time when death will come to someone, and he shall say, O my Lord, if only you wouldn't grant me reprieve for a little while, then I would give in charity and be among the righteous.
Thank you, Afi. I love history, and so when I was doing the research for this, one thing that came to my mind was the Egyptian pharaohs of old. They have the grand, those grand pyramids, X tall, X wide, and then inside is all the gold, all the jewels that used to be there before they got pillaged and stuff. But when I was reading this, because the reason that came to my mind was because they had so much stuff that they took into the tomb with them, that their belief was that when they go to the afterlife, this is going to go with them. But only as if they knew that that's not going to do anything for them in the afterlife. Because as I was doing the research for this, there was one interesting thing that came up. I think it might have been Hadith I was looking at or something, but I don't think I put it in this copy. It was where, what was it? It was where a parent passes away, and they have so much stuff, and it's left for the kids, of course, the heirs, and it was said that whatever you give away as charity is a blessing upon you, and whatever you leave is for your children. That will not benefit you anymore. So the point of it was you don't have to necessarily leave everything for your kids. You know, if you have $10 million, you don't have to leave $10 million for your kids. You can leave a couple $1 million for your kids and give the rest away, because that will benefit you more on the day of judgment than leaving $10 million necessarily for your kids. Okay, so if you guys could flip your handout around, that will take you to the hadiths, and that'll be the last 10 minutes, and I'll be done after that. The simplest hadith about charity is the first one, as on your handout. You can see every act of kindness is charity. In fact, if you look at the second hadith, right below that, it says that it was related that the Prophet has said, every good deed of a Muslim is charity. It is one of the good deeds that you meet your brother with a smiling face, and also that you pour down water from your bucket into your brother's bucket. And this hadith right here shows you two of the simplest ways that any one of us can do a charitable act. One is smiling. How hard is that? I don't know the exact number of muscles. Just very hard. Very hard. Especially if you're a doctor, right? So you're a doctor and you tell your patient something, they come back to you, complain again. You know, I told you this earlier. I know. But I don't know the exact number of muscles, but I know that it's less muscles to smile than it's to frown. So for any lazy people, that's a benefit. You know, it doesn't require too much energy to smile. But also, it was reported that every time anyone came to the Prophet, he had a smiling face. So the way I see it, and I know the way many people see it, if the Prophet was doing it, he is our best example, he is our best role model of how a woman should be in this life, then we should all adopt that trait of, always have a smiling face. And the second half of this hadith is pouring down water from your bucket into your brother's bucket. This is saying that if you have something, the way my parents have raised my brother and I, is that if you're going to give something away, is it something that you would take for yourself also? For this last half of this hadith was, if I'm going to keep something for myself, make sure I give away something also that is the same quality. That it's not always about the quantity of how much you give away, it's also just about the quality you give away. I'll give you an example. I work a job. I'm very blessed to have the job. But I get paid per hour. So the hourly income isn't always fabulous, But when I do give something away in charity, I make sure to give away just a little bit more than I do receive per hour. It's just a thing I have. I'll give you one example. We were going to one of the brothers and sisters' house in this class, but they're not here today. So I'm not going to say their name, They want to get upset with me. So we were going to their house, and it was really cold that night. And so we were at a stoplight, and there was this one gentleman on the stoplight. So asking for money. So the right thing to do is we gave him money. I gave him X amount of money, and I felt bad because I was like, I should have given him more, but I didn't have the chance to give him more. And the cool thing is that whenever you find someone, and let's say money for example, when you find someone who needs money, their way of thanking you is so much more different than someone who was a professional beggar and didn't need the money. Because that guy said thank you to me like 10 times before we left that stoplight. I don't know how many times people do that. I mean, we know in order to be on the streets and ask for money, that requires that you're really like humbling yourself a lot, because you have to go to people and ask them for stuff. So, like I said, if you're going to give something away, make sure something that you would also eat quality-wise for yourself. So if you go to the third hadith on your handout, it was reported by Aisha. She was a wife of Prophet Muhammad, that a man came to the Prophet, and he said, "My mother has suddenly died. I believe that if she was living, she would have given some charity. Would it count as a merit on her part if I were to give her something in charity on her behalf?" The Prophet replied, "Yes, you should give something in charity on her behalf." I know Dr. Ghazi has said many times in this class that Dr. Ghazi's parents are passed away, that there is a weekly, monthly, and yearly gift that he gives to his parents. I know my mother, she does the exact same for her mom. And what this is saying is that, let me break it down for you. I know there are many times that parents might say something to the kids, where the kids might be, I mean, all of us have been kids, I'm assuming, right? So where the parent might have said something where as a kid we might have been like, why did you say that? Or maybe that hurt my feelings too much. Or maybe I'm upset. And there are many times that we say something to our parents when they're upset too. I mean, they might get hurt. But whenever, as a kid, we do something good, our parents are always there. They're our cheerleaders, right? So it is a duty upon us that we, even if they're passed on, that we still do something for them, do something in their name. That's one of the basis of why this hadith is, because they're our parents. It is our duty that we must still do something, regardless if they're living, regardless if they're dead. It can be anything. Maybe you donate something to an orphanage, and your intention is that this money is for my mom or for my dad who passed away. Maybe it is I'm going to help build a masjid in my mom or my dad's name. Maybe it is I'm going to have a well in a village somewhere for the next 50 years. People are going to drink. For the next 50 years, my parents are going to be blessed from that. So it's just anything. It can be anything at all that you can use to bless your parents with. And also, Islam is such a beautiful religion. Dr. Qazi always says Islam is a simple religion. It breaks down everything so much that anyone, regardless of talent, skill, gender, skin color, where you come from in the world, that anyone can do it. Because there's also one hadith that, simply put it, was that if a man came to the Prophet and said, if I have nothing, what can I do as a charitable act? The Prophet said, work. And if you cannot work, then help the needy people. And if you cannot help the needy people, and join good. And if you cannot even do that, refrain from evil. How simple is that? We all can refrain from evil. We all can self-control ourselves to make sure that we don't overstep our boundaries that are set in Islam. And those boundaries are very clear to us. Also, I think the last hadith on your handout is the Prophet also said, give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamity. One thing that I think Dr. Qazi has said a couple of times already this year, in fact, in class, is that whenever you want to do a good deed, hasten towards it, run to it, do it as quickly as possible. But when you want to do a bad deed, or you have a bad thought come to your mind, slow down, take time, stop it. That way you can control it more. So when you're running for it, you can do it faster. Your blessings will come faster to you, inshallah. And okay, I'm glad I have markers here, because I was on the way here. I was like, I'm going to draw this out just to show how important this is.
Because 1 minute.
Yes, sir. This is the last hadith. And one of the best forms of charity is that a Muslim acquires knowledge and imparts it to another Muslim. One example is, let's say Dr. Qazi says something in class. It goes to Ask Uncle. It goes to me. And let's say it goes to Adam. And let's say that same thought, that same thing that was said goes to one of Adam's friends. And that friend of his, that goes to his friend, and that goes to his friend, and that goes to his friend. That's the importance of why whenever you have something good, knowledge-wise, you should impart it upon others, because it will have a big effect and it will impact many people. Okay, so if you all are taking notes, this is 2 things that you should write, and this is the takeaway from this lecture. One thing is that we should all have a system of giving away charity, a system that helps us establish our means of giving away charity to help us remain pure. Inshallah. And the other one is that in order for us to make sure we receive full blessings from our charity, make sure our intentions are pure, and make sure our means of our charity, of giving charity, is pure, regardless if it's money, our time, our energy, or any time, or our tongue, or anything like that. So with that, I'm done. Thank you so much. Anything good I said, like I said earlier, is coming from Allah. And with Allah's help, anything I said in misjudgment or error, I ask Allah for His forgiveness, and thank you so much.